before I begin tonight's video, I did want to point out a few things that I realized I kind of glossed over when doing the comparison between the Dell and the Thinkpad here. Real quick, this is, again, a 2011 late model, so late 2011 T520 Thinkpad, okay? She has an i5, she's rocking 8 gigs of RAM. This is one of the more unique models that does have, from the factory, a 1080p screen as opposed to the HD Plus screens. She is rocking, instead of just the Intel 3000 chip, she is rocking the NVIDIA 4200 chip, which I have personally gone in here and basically, in simple terms, disabled the integrated graphics, and it's just using the proprietary graphics, so that's nice. This is really down and dirty, I apologize, but this is quick. If you notice, she has a digital video slot port, old school VGA, 2 USB 2.0s, which is one of the only negatives about this machine, and of course a SATA port, this guy here, and of course a dedicated switch to turn every wireless communication device off in the machine, which is amazing if you want to know for a fact. Airplane mode, conserve battery. You don't mess around spending time going in the machine, using Windows, boom, you just flip this switch, all bets are off. That's it, done. On the back, you have a powered USB 2.0 and, of course, the power support, or power plug-in, I should say. And, of course, on this side here, I can't turn on my flashlight while I'm recording, but she has a SD card slot reader and a compact card as well, or capability, which I will, but you can get a USB 3.0 compact card that goes right in there and actually get USB 3.0 speeds. On the side here, you have a Kensington lock and, of course, Ethernet and a DVD-RW drive. This will read and write DVDs and CDs. You can get a Blu-ray player or a Blu-ray reader for this, which I'm tempted to buy, but with this machine's performance and its screen, even though it's 1080, I don't need that. For the record, before I put you onto the review here, this machine, with its 8 gigs of RAM, the solid-state drive, and of course the Intel i5 with Sandy Bridge, I can easily edit videos and photos on this machine. I can go on YouTube, I can go on Google, I can go on Reddit, I can go on any website I want to. I've run this thing through its paces, and it hasn't faulted or failed yet. The other thing is that on YouTube or a file, such as drone footage, if this focuses, such as drone footage or YouTube videos, this thing chews up and spits out any kind of video file at 1080p. Excellent. And you gotta remember, this is from 2011. Video files back then weren't that prevalent for 1080p. Like, on the computer itself, not streaming. I can also, even though this just booted up, as you saw, let's very quickly go to a 4K video. So let's say 4K, boom. Let's see what comes up. Hey, look, it's my Nantucket video. It's probably because it's in the search history, but that's fine. Let's do the Battleship New Jersey, because it's one of my favorite videos we've ever done. Now, I will point out, 4K video on this? No. If you own this machine, don't do it. I'm not going to do it, but the CPU, as you can kind of see when it started to load, if this focuses, boom, jumped up. Your temperatures go up to above 70 degrees centigrade. Your CPU and RAM usage go up exponentially. Don't do it. This machine was not meant to play 4K, and even if it was built today with its current specs, can't do 4K. But if you simply go down to 2K, temperatures, CPU usage, boom, all of them drop to about 60%, 70% of what it was at, and you can easily watch a 2K video. It buffers very quickly, there's no stuttering, no delay. Yes, you're seeing a little bit of flickering here from being an old school LCD screen and not a current one. But considering this machine is 7 years old, and the specs that it has, and the fact that it is what it is, it's a ThinkPad, not some gaming machine or a high-priced laptop. Even though this machine costs $2,000 in the day, you could buy other machines. Look at that. That's pretty much what you were seeing there. Excellent. Anyway, on with the review. Alright, so I'm going to be doing a full review of my Lenovo Thinkpad T520 probably in the next couple of days or so. Now, this is my mom's Dell Inspiron that she bought, call it a year and a half ago. I think it's less than that. But one of the things I want to point out about current laptop design versus the Thinkpad, and I don't even have the Thinkpad open, it's over there. So let's look at the Dell here. Okay. So first of all, I gotta be honest, the fact that the keys don't illuminate until you touch a key or a trackpad, cool. You know what? Little subtle things like that. Okay, first of all, the Thinkpad is from 2011. The T520 model was produced in that year. Sure, there were a few that spilled over, but it's from 2011. This is from, call it 2016, 2017. Most likely, I really do want to say 2017 here, back when I worked at Best Buy. So, you would think that it would win easily on a few things, but it doesn't. Now, this has Windows 10. The Thinkpad has Windows 7, which is my preferred operating system. This machine, I come to find out after trying a couple of different hard drives, does not accept Windows 7. There are certain drivers, and big ones, which, without going into detail, are, well, excuse me, important for this machine. So I said, okay, let's redo Windows 10, even though I can't stand it. So, first of all, the keyboard. I call this the Chiclet style keyboard. I'm not the only person. Anybody who reviews tech calls it the Chiclet style. And if you aren't aware of this, unlike mechanical, Chiclet style laptop keyboards are like the gum from back in the 90s, Chiclets. Now, to type on this thing, much like the newer MacBooks, there's very little, if any, key movement. I mean, this is just me typing with one hand here. I'll type in Terminator or TER if I can. Shut up, computer. Alright, I'm not going to... You get the idea. It's, and I love mechanical keyboards, so I'm kind of biased toward this, but still. It's a Chiclet style with very minimized movement, okay? Yes, they're backlit, which is one of my prerequisites for anybody asking me what laptop should I buy, because there are still some that don't come backlit. It's 2018. All of you should be backlit. Anyway. Now, the trackpad. It's fucking huge, okay? This is my hand. This is the trackpad. This is the trackpad on drugs. No. So, giant trackpad, which seems to be the theme since the, not current, but previous generation of the MacBook Pros put a giant trackpad on there. And I know that's not the first one to do it, but okay. If I go to put my palm, the right-hand side is fine. If I go to type, and as you're taught, you put your index finger on the J, and you put your other index finger on the F. But right away, I'll get into this in a second, I put my hand here. If I'm trying to type with one hand, or use command keys or function keys, and then use the other hand somewhere else, or use the trackpad, this doesn't have the ball like the Thinkpad does, but right now, I'm on the trackpad, or I'm clicking. Now, I am a little biased toward the Thinkpad, but the whole reasoning, the point of the Thinkpad being, or having a smaller the whole point of it having a smaller trackpad is so you don't do this. You have plenty of room to put your palm. This is a palm rest after all, but if you look at it, a good quarter of it, off-centered by the way, which really pisses me off, is the trackpad. Now yes, Ryan, it's a quarter because this keyboard has the number pad, which this gets marks for. It's a good thing. I like having the number pad. I personally can live without it, but others who are doing documents and office work, yeah, you want a trackpad. A number pad. But even though there is a number pad, if you play by the rules and set yourself up, you sit down, you go to do your office work, if you position your hands so you're touching the J and the F key, the palm, or whatever the fuck this is called behind the thumb, is still on this. And every now and then when you're typing, you hear that? You will hit the trackpad, you will hit the left or right click of the proverbial mouse. What the hell? So, I've always hated big trackpads. Yes, the MacBook Pro did it a little bit differently, and you can program it so it doesn't feel whatever. So, I'm not going to go into specs of this machine. It has an i5. It has, I've upgraded this to 6 gigs of RAM for my mom. I have now successfully repaired this thing after she utterly destroyed it and spilled water on it, by the way. That was a fun repair. So, what really infuriates me, and a few people who I know who own laptops have kind of done this test on the side, how do you pick up your laptop? Right? Now, if it's closed, you pick it up, you grab it like this. Or you grab it from the back, right? And this is pretty sturdy. You know, the battery's back here. You can grip this. In fact, it's bulbous here, which is nice, like the bow of a ship. Sometimes I can't do it with one hand, but you grab it from the bottom. Okay. How many of you out there watching this own a laptop as your primary daily driver or secondary machine? And you have a drink in your hand, you have a baby, right? A baby or a kid in your other arm or your hand, and you have one hand to pick up your laptop. Okay, this mark, by the way, I took the sticker that had the useless Dell information on here, and this is what it used to feel like, and this is what it is now. It just goes to show the wear and tear. But anyway, so how many of you have had one hand to pick up your laptop, whether it's the right-hand side or it's the left-hand side? Well, watch this. I'm going to simply not, I swear to God, I'm not trying to do this. I'm not trying to make this look bad. This machine, for its money that you paid for it back when it was new, was a very solid performer specs-wise, but build quality, whatever. So I'm going to pick it up. Obviously, I put my fingers down here, and I put my thumb here, and I'm going to brace it and pick it up. Do you see what's going on here? It's fucking bending. And you're like, well, Ryan, that's the way you picked it up. Okay. Half the machine, almost half. In fact, more, actually, more like 3/4 of it is on this solid desk here. And I'm just going to put light pressure on this. Let me get the good camera angle. If I wanted to, I could destroy this thing just by picking it up way too fast. Again, ready? Now, is this how you're supposed to pick up a laptop? No. Is this how a majority of people pick up the laptop? Yes, especially with one hand. Some people go in the middle and put their fingers more towards the center, which is better. But even if, okay, so my fingers straight ahead. No adult jokes here. Let's put my hand, my finger, my thumb on the trackpad, which sucks to do because it, you know, you move shit around. Let's pick it up. Again, it's still bending. I know it's not as evident. Well, I guess it kind of is. It's not quite as much because it's not the corner, but the whole front of the trackpad or the palm rest is still bending. Okay. Same thing if I switch hands, because I know some of you are thinking that, and go with the right side. Yes, that's a good tea. Diet tea. Ta-da! And yes, you should watch that on Netflix. It's pretty good. But it got me thinking about this. What the hell? Okay. Now, as someone who has taken this apart, it is 3 screws or 4 screws short of changing the hard drive, and you can change the RAM. It's not that hard. But you spilled water in this or any other laptop other than a Thinkpad that I can think of right now. No pun intended. You're fucked. And that's what my mother did. I've replaced the keyboard, the motherboard. I sufficiently, let's just say, cleaned. The hard drive was fine. The RAM I replaced. This thing, for fixability or durability, just on this. And again, fine. You know what? Let's move more inward so my thumb's here at the corner of the trackpad. So I'm more than a quarter of the way in. That sucks. The frame, the backbone, the bones, whatever you want to call it of this, you can easily break this thing. And same thing goes for... So, that being said, durability-wise in this machine, not the greatest in the world. But my Thinkpad, which is from 2011, so let's count that. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 7 years old. A 7-year-old laptop. This is the 2011 Lenovo Thinkpad T520. This machine, when it was brand new, with the current specs that are in it, was about $2,000, $2,200, give or take, depending on where you bought it from. This is not something that your average Joe Schmo would buy. This is not something that your average teenager would have in high school or college at the time. This is a working man's laptop, and there are a lot of things that make it the working man's laptop, as opposed to this 2017 Dell, which, yes, I need to clean this. So, without further ado, let's dive in here. And yes, first of all, I'm not certain if the new Thinkpads do it, but there is a latch. This machine will not open unless you want it to. Whereas this one, while you're walking, if it drops, if it falls, if you pick it up upside down or fast, you can just open and close it, which, hit or miss. I mean, some people like this, some people don't. But anyway, so, the hinges are strong on this, so I'm going to struggle to open this. So in fact, I will turn this off to open this because I don't want this machine to go everywhere. So, in full disclosure, I will be right back. Okay, this is the T520 from Lenovo from 2011, like I said before. So, if we open up the Dell, just for comparison's sake, and let's turn you on. It's probably in sleep mode. What do you see that's different? First off, right away. Okay, that is the keyboard. Well, actually, it could be one of two things. It could be the keyboard or it could be the trackpad, but let's just talk about the keyboard for a second. This is a spill-proof keyboard, okay? There is numerous holes. In fact, below every key is a slot or a slit or a hole. This laptop is spill-proof. If I'm sitting here and I'm having a drink and I'm not going to do it. No, I don't ever encourage anybody to try this. But if you ever spill something on the keyboard, long story short, the way the chassis is designed, the water is directed through a central point and it drains. Now, can you mess up? Wow, that was a quick boot time. Can you mess up your Lenovo Thinkpad? Sure, if you dump water all over this, but how often have all of you out there watching this ever spilled something and gone, oh crap, and you don't spill the whole giant cup, you just spill some water or a drink? This guy, like with my mom, was screwed. This one would survive. But that's beside the point. I don't encourage anybody to have any alcohol or drinks or water or food or beverages, anything near a computer when you're using it. So, the keyboard itself, first of all, yes, you may have already noticed, this is the standard kind of keyboard we all, well, it's 2018, most of us grew up with. When you type on it, the keys have a decent amount of movement. Now, not as much as my mechanical keyboard here. I really want to finish watching that. But enough, where when you're typing, it has the movement, it has the tactile feel. It feels like an actual membrane keyboard that you've typed on before, whether it's high school or college or on an old school computer. Now, it's not mechanical, so it doesn't have that click feedback, but that's okay. Second of all, you'll notice that this one doesn't have the number pad, which I did give this one props for. But I can live without that fucking number pad, simply put, because, number one, this has more tactile keys. Number two, you have a lot more command keys at your discretion. Number three, looking at it, it's color-coded. I know for a fact the enter key's here. I know that my function buttons are up there, blah, blah, blah. Here, and I know it's backlit, as you can see, it's all one note. Now, obviously, like I pointed out before, the trackpad. So, in all fairness, let's put my hand down. Let's put my finger on F. Boom. Now, yes, I'm hovering over it, but what do you notice? I can't... Where is it? There we go. And again, in all honesty, I'm not touching the left or right click buttons. In fact, the way that my hand is, it's never touching the trackpad. It's hovering over it. If I switch to this guy and just put it down, I already clicked something. Okay, and I'm not exaggerating, but I'm not exactly avoiding it either, but you get the idea. Now, some people say, oh my god, Ryan, this is too small. I can't, I'm in Photoshop or video editing, I can't drag a long way. Okay, first of all, fuck off. You can make this so the smaller movement with your finger, right, equals a huge amount of screen movement. Just like on this guy, where I move the same amount and it moves it across the screen. So you can adjust this. Now you have to adjust to the sensitivity, but if this is your daily driver or your primary, mobile machine, you're fine. You'd be totally fine. So, as far as I'm concerned, the trackpad, as cute and small as it is, if I put my hand here, boom, versus boom, you get the idea. It's just, this is more of an inconvenience than this guy here. Now, you're probably wondering, if you've never used a Thinkpad before, what the fuck are these things? Well, you notice this little nub here, little nipple, whatever you want to call it, nub, nipple, dot. This moves the mouse. Well, what are these? This is left click, this is right click, this is hold down. That's all this button does. So, for instance, if I go online, oops, click, if I go online, wonderful Google, and I go to Imager, because who doesn't go to Imager? Now, the typical way you would scroll down, you would use gestures. Now, when this machine was out, gestures were a thing, but not that much, so after a couple updates, that actually zoomed out. I can zoom down, okay, by doing this, with making sure that one of my fingers is on the right-hand side here. If I go too far to the left, it won't do anything. But if I click this and do this, it's automatic up and down. This machine, and the long story short of it is, this machine was designed to be used without a mouse. There's a lot more you can do with quick functionality of essentially a mouse and this little nip here than just this. Now you're probably saying, Ryan, if I want to use a mouse, I'll buy a mouse. Yes, and in fact, I have a mouse for this because I like using a mouse when I edit photos. But the other thing is that because this machine isn't like your typical ones and has an extended battery on it, if I wasn't holding a phone, and I'm going to attempt this here, I shouldn't, but I will, I can hold this machine very, very comfortably, one-handed, okay, grip the battery, and if I had my one hand free instead of holding my phone, I can easily browse Imager. I can easily edit a video or access a file. Now, there's some controversy to this, and Lewis, who I will send a link to or put a link on, who I love, always grips it by this. I wouldn't do this unless I have to, but this isn't going anywhere. One-handed, it's easy. If I pick up the Dell here, one-handed, or any laptop built since the Thinkpad, right? It's cumbersome getting off the ground here because I'm one-handed. If I hold this, first of all, I have nothing to grip in the back, so that's it. So I could easily lose this thing because essentially it's literally resting in my hand. The Thinkpad, I grip in my hand. So for one-handed people, or if you're going to be up on your feet a lot, like engineers, technicians, etc., way better option. Now, yes, you can buy that stupid fucking thing that you put on phones and so your fingers can grip something, but it's not the same as a phone when you're dealing with a laptop. Let alone, like I went over before, if you happen to pick things up one-handed, you're going to flex, like right there. Now, you're probably saying, well, Ryan, what's the flex like on the Thinkpad? Okay, this is literally in the same position that this poor chum was a few minutes ago. Let's pick it up. Minimal flex. Now, there is a little bit of movement here because of the outer shell being plastic, so that's going to bend or pinch a little bit. But if I go to the outskirts and put my fingers there, my thumb here, not only does it feel more solid, it's clearly evident that this isn't going anywhere. Same thing with the other side, but I'm not going to do it because I can't switch hands right now. Or if I pick it up in the middle, yes, I could click one of these guys here, left and right, but that's obvious. And it's one of those things where if you felt it in your hand and you went from one to the other, like I can literally feel the plastic on this laptop flexing in as I pick it up or go up and down. The Thinkpad here, from however many years ago, feels way more solid. Now again, do I recommend picking the laptop up from the corners or anything up from the corners? Of course not. Don't do that. But in a pinch, if I have to, this machine, it's spill-proof, it's more water resistant, and it's a hell of a lot more durable. Now, Performance. This thing's rocking an i5 from 2017. This thing's rocking an i5 and integrated graphics from 2011. Let's do a live, uninterrupted reboot here. So I'm going to shut this thing down. And I'm going to shut this thing down. Now, I will point out, this machine is running a standard hard drive. Now, it's a 7200 RPM hard drive. This is running an SSD from today. I literally bought it a week ago. But it is a fair comparison. Yeah, shut down. Of performance. Now, this thing can handle 4K video. It can handle 1080p YouTube, 4K YouTube. This machine, like I said before, on pure specs, not build quality, not typing, trackpad, this is not a bad machine at all. In fact, I would tell people for the money, good machine, go for it. However, for 200 bucks for a good one, and then maybe 50 bucks for 110 or 120 gig SSD, for the love of God, go buy this thing. So, I'm going to give this machine the benefit of the doubt here before I run out of space on my phone. Click. Click. I'll lean back in my chair here, but... What was that? Like a few seconds? This guy's still loading up its fucking welcome screen for Windows 10, and I can't even enter the password yet. It's this. See, this is kind of cheating on Windows 10 part. It puts a fucking splash screen on here, but it's still loading everything. Hell with that. So, another thing that I personally love old school equipment, as you guys know, who have been following me for a while or just know me. Okay, for the record, a minute later you're on your desktop, but obviously it's going to be a little bit until I can use something. Now that is true. There it is. To the machine's credit, this is a standard hard drive. It's Windows 10 versus Windows 7. They're both fresh installs, but come on, that's badass. And who's to say if you put an SSD in this thing, it wouldn't be just as fast? But again, build quality sucks. Now, anyway, if you're a fan of mine, you know that I love old school tech. I mentioned before, this is a spill-proof keyboard, and I've kind of glossed over a few things. So first of all, real quick, you always have Wi-Fi indicator and Bluetooth indicator. When this machine is shut, you have if it's charged or charging, and then if it's asleep, which this current power setting, it's not going to sleep, you would have a little, I guess I changed it, never mind. You have a moon there saying it's sleeping. So at any given time, I can look at this machine and know exactly what's going on. Yes, this thing has an LED light on it, but it just glows when it's charging. Once it's charged, it goes away. So, let's see if I can open this with one hand here. Put my elbow on it. There we go. Boom, she has awoken. So, the other thing is that unlike hitting function and volume and brightness and all that other bullshit, on this machine, it has dedicated volume, mute, mic, and whatnot buttons. Now, I mentioned the word function. If my phone would like to focus in the low light here, I apologize. This machine probably has the most quaint, simple thing in the world, but every time I use it, I have a little smile on my face. So, forget having a little tiny trackpad that works amazing, forget having extra buttons to use this one-handed, forget having a keyboard that it's more like a normal keyboard and actually feels fun to type on. Forget having a handle basically built into the extended battery so you can use this one-handed. Ryan, how do I use this at night? Well, you can do what my mom did when this machine wasn't working and angle the screen down, which, okay, lights up the keys, but now you can't see what the hell you're doing. Well, this is not unique to this one ThinkPad. A lot of the ThinkPads have it until they went to this stupid Chiclet keyboard. So, I'm going to do this one-handed somehow if I can reach across the keyboard, but obviously if I had one hand, it'd be easier, and I actually... I can't reach. Okay, so I'm gonna go down here with my left hand, hold the phone with my left hand. I'm going to hold down the function key and hit this button. Oh, the keys are illuminated. Well, how does that happen? Boom. A little tiny fucking LED light that's angled down just at the keyboard. And how simple is that? That's fucking cool. Now, some people are like, well, it's a fucking flashlight. Other people are going to be annoyed. No. From the angle, from other sides, from sitting next to me on a train when I had this thing, not this one, sorry, the one I owned previously, it's the same thing as the screen brightness. It's not annoying at all. Okay? Now, granted, I love backlit keys. Clearly, I have the Chroma Black Widow. But there's something to be said about something as simple as a little LED. I mean, come on. Having a spill-proof keyboard back in the day, that's why this couldn't be backlit, which is why the current one can't be spill-proof. But, come on. That's awesome. Anyway, so this has been my really quick, down and dirty overall thoughts on the ThinkPad. I love this machine. This video was kind of... It was kind of a love letter to the ThinkPad, and I'm glad I had this guy here next to me to compare it. Is this machine perfect? Absolutely not. I feel like over time these keys might get a little loose as opposed to having it integrated into the trackpad. And of course, this is plastic. This is more of that rubbery plastic that just feels really good to rest your palms on or to touch. However, that being said, if I put the light back on, one of the cool things about the ThinkPads, at least this generation, is that you'll notice this is rounded. Okay? This is a 90 degree, which if you're typing for a while or using it, can get really annoying on your wrist. Now, the other thing that I don't like, or I should say, wonderful machine, excellent. The one thing that if you told me, Ryan, what's the one thing you do not like about this laptop? It is the speakers. Now, it looks like, come on, right? It looks like the fucking XBR over there. There are speakers left and right of the keyboard. Yes, there are. But they suck. There's no bass whatsoever. Whatever laptop you've ever heard, take the sound volume and cut it in half. Now, granted, this is a businessman's laptop. This is a laptop for a man or a woman who needs the computing power, who needs the keyboard, who needs the battery life. Holy shit, the battery life, if I were to get a brand new battery, 9 hours. Right now, 5 hours. And that's of use. Not runtime, not watching a movie, using internet, using Google, using YouTube. It's insane the battery life I've gotten. And the battery in this is the original one from 2011. The new ones can go for 9 hours, and that's what the runtime was back in the day. But the speaker quality, I'm just gonna not use my YouTube audio enhancement, enhancement on this, and I'm just gonna click Rooster Teeth here. Yep. So to be fair, the speakers on this guy here. Let's go to Chrome. Okay, so I had to cut there. Sorry. I have synced up the video. This is the Rooster Teeth podcast 486. What makes it an ocean? That has to be a Gavin question. Anyway, so we'll first start with the tried and trusted and true T520. This is full volume, no mods, no extensions, etc. for both units, okay? Okay, it's stereo, it's there. And in a quiet room like my room right now with no environment around me, it's still not quite loud enough. It's like 60% of what I would want. So again, we'll go back 5 seconds. And then we'll immediately play it on the Dell. So, the speakers on this laptop are very good. I will give them credit. Now, is it as good as, certain ones? No. But comparing it to this guy here, it's obviously going to win. But, after everything we've talked about, winning in the backlit keyboard and sound quality, and technically performance, if you really want to nitpick, given that it's a brand new or a year-old computer versus a 7-year-old computer, so fine. Let's just say we give this one overall performance, sound quality, the fact that the keys are backlit, versus battery life, build quality, spill-proof. Even one-handed, I can take the CD drive out, or after one screw, take the hard drive out for replacement. Overall performance, technically, I'm kind of reaching there. And oh yes, the keyboard and trackpad are far superior. And the fact that I can use it one-handed. Yeah. Anyway, so this was just a quick overview of a 2017 laptop, what we think of as a machine that is portable, versus the 2011 Thinkpad T520, which is kind of the last generation of this Thinkpad. The W series, which replaced this a year later in 2012, had a different keyboard and a little different layout overall, but was essentially the same machine. But kind of like the Jeep, and this is what I love about this laptop. This is like the Jeep Wrangler of laptops. This is a YJ, or even a TJ, and the following generations just started to go downhill to when they started to copy Apple with the giant fucking trackpad. Yeah. If you need a laptop, if you're like, I am broke, but I need a fucking computer, and you have a couple $100 to spend, don't buy something that's shit. Tablet, Chromebook. Go on eBay, go on Amazon, spend $250, get yourself a T520, and never look back. And then when you get some money, if you haven't done so, upgrade the RAM, upgrade the to an SSD. You can get an SSD for $50. Sure, it's only 120 gigs. That's what I have in this. Why? Because I don't need the storage. I don't need it. That's what this giant fucking beast of a tower is for. This is my on-the-go, need to edit photos, need to watch YouTube, need to waste time, portable machine. But I do so in style and in class, kind of like if you're driving an old-school muscle car or a pre-2000s Jeep Wrangler. Anyway, have a good night, guys. See ya!